win tonight. Very cool moment when you jumped on top of the railing into the table. What was that moment like, knowing that you not only knew that out of all the experience you had, and also the crowd reaction that was going on around you?
Oh man, what was it like? That was probably the highest one I've ever done through tables like that. So, I mean, man, my heart was pumping pretty good. And but at the same time, the adrenaline was pumping. You know, crowd's going crazy, and it becomes a little easier at that point. You know, so exciting stuff.
Thank you, Nick.
You've done literally probably everything there is to do in pro wrestling. What is left for you? What do you want to do? What do you want to accomplish still?
You know what? I am so glad that I'm teamed up with Darby, and you know, I want to be able to mentor these guys in any way that I possibly can. It's amazing to say something like that, because sometimes I feel like Darby's the one mentoring me. But yeah, I mean, it's just to give back, not just to, you know, wrestling fans, but to the wrestlers, you know, to the dressing room in there, and they all have so much respect. I mean, wrestling fans don't seem to want to say goodbye. The nostalgia just is huge, and it's the same way in the dressing room. The guys are, I mean, it's amazing how many of the guys will come up with a telephone with a picture with me, you know, when they were a kid or something like that, or when they were dressed like me for Halloween. So anyway.
Next question, yes?
Scott Fishman, TV Insider. You talked about your bond with Darby Allin. One of the things that I really appreciate is the production value when it comes to your entrances before the entrances. So talk about what it's like to kind of put those videos together, and just what is it like with those days on set and kind of being, you know, in the presence of the creativity that you have.
Once again, this is a Darby brainchild. You know, he lives, eats, and breathes this stuff. He thinks outside the box. He's constantly trying to figure out how to make it interesting, something that is not seen, something that is completely different. And I kind of think that this whole thing of, you know, the entrances of the big TVs or the big pay-per-views where you see a video like that is going to become more mainstream. I think it's going to happen like that. So it's his brainchild.
Next question? Yes.
Hi, sir. Joel Torres from Contralona. I just want to ask you about, do you have any experience giving advice to someone that you feel that it has touched you? Like, you know, what's that advice that you have given to any of the talents here that you think is the most important thing?
Really, because I've seen so many loose cannons over the years, so many people that believe that they can break into the wrestling business easy if they just dye their hair or come up with some kind of crazy gimmick. And I'll tell them all pretty much the same things: just quick to listen and slow to speak. You know, learn first, and keep your mouth shut, and learn how to respect the business and everyone who came before you. And don't ever dog it out there. You know, wrestling fans will look right through that. They know when someone's just kind of going through the motions versus somebody who's thinking about how their wrestling gear looks, what their physique looks like, and they're giving it their all in the ring, and they're putting it out there. They're taking risks, and you know, fans see that. They appreciate it.
Next. AJ?
My name's AJ from the AJ Awesome Show, and
I interviewed with AJ Awesome once.
Let's go. Let's go.
and I was wondering if you would do any more matches of this style and the insanity of this match after this one.
That would be pretty awesome to me. Yeah, I love to do something different than just your standard wrestling match. So I tend to like these types of matches.
John?
John Alba, Podcast Seed. Another guy that you were across the ring from was Matt Hardy, a guy who kind of polar opposite of you, where you're mentoring Darby a little bit. He was with Isaiah Cassidy in Private Party. What can you say about the job that he's done with those guys and what you saw from them tonight?
Outstanding. I mean, really, they're great guys. I mean, I've been in the ring with these guys a few times. It's always a pleasure. It's always a lot of fun. These guys really care, and talk about two guys that really have respect for the business. They do.
Sean?
When you came back, realistically, did you see yourself doing something like what you did tonight?
No, I'll just be straight up with everybody. I talked to Tony and I said, I'm not sure really what I have to offer, you know, and, because I'm not gonna have these long 20, 30-minute matches against these young guys, so, you know, what do you have in mind? And he said, oh, how about cinematic matches? Would you be interested in those? And I said, yeah, I think I could do that, you know. And we got halfway through the filming of that one, and Cody Rhodes, followed by Tony, they're like, oh, your kinetic energy is still really amazing. Yeah, you could still go. You could have a real match, you know. That's where it all started. As a matter of fact, Cody, he texted me today. You know, he says, game day. You know, I said, it started with kinetic energy comments. You know? So, but no, I didn't think I'd be in here doing this. But I'm having so much fun. I feel like I'm in good hands. And it's great being with Darby, let me tell you.
Yes.
Najir, Big O Belt Media. What's your recovery routine?
Advil, ice. Yeah, I mean, I have to train and do everything completely different than I did, and it takes me a lot longer to recover after these matches.
Thank you.
Standing up? Yeah.
Jose Montesino from Lucha Libre Online. A lot of people compares online comparisons between WCW and All Elite. You've been obviously in both places. What you can say about the difference between both places? Is okay that people compares? Is any difference?
I think it starts from the top and works its way down. We had a period of time with WCW where Eric Bischoff came on board, and you know, Hogan, Hall, Nash, the NWO, and you know, Buff Bagwell, Lex Luger, the Steiner Brothers, Big Papa Pump, you know, but everybody was kind of pointing in the same direction and marching to the same beat for about a year, maybe 18 months if we're lucky. And that was the best time ever, you know, in wrestling for me. But with AEW, and it started with Eric and it worked its way down. With AEW, it's Tony Khan. I'm telling you, he's a people person. I mean, I watch him talk with just, you know, the grips, you know, moving cable around, and he really cares about his talent and treats everybody with respect, and he's a giver, you know. So, you know, he's like a player coach almost, you know. You want to perform for the guy.
Last question, our student.
Spencer Valdez, NSM Today, UCF's student outlet. Garrett Martin, senior editor of Pace Magazine, tweeted out during your match tonight, and I quote, so don't shoot the messenger, "Why does Sting want to die?" What do you have to say, though, to those who kind of doubt your abilities at this stage? We all believe in you, but what do you have to say to any pessimists?
I don't know of any. They're out there, I guess. I don't mean that in a prideful, arrogant way. I'm sure that there's always, in my whole career, even when I was a young man, there's always going to be people out there that they're going to hate you no matter what. You're never going to be able to do the right thing in their eyes. And there's always going to be those people. So I think that, you know, the wrestling fans seem to be very, very, I'll say it again, respectful. And they see that I'm at my age, I'm taking risks out there, and I want it to be good. I still want to be, you know, an entertainer, and I'm having fun doing it. So, I mean, what would I say to the pessimists out there, or the ones that, I mean, if you can just tune me off when I'm on and watch something else, you know.
I'm going to use that.
Thank you so much. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Robert, can I steal your chair?
Yeah, of course.
That was sick.
No worries.
Did I work out? That's okay. That's okay.
You know, I won't fit across.
Opportune time for your
Who's handling the mic?
So you have two people. You'll have to handle three over two of them.
Actually, John,
Where's that person?
he'll be right back.
So it sounds like anybody that's gonna have a question, we gotta hand you a mic, and you have to ask the question in the mic. So when you raise your hand, someone will rush a mic to you.
Oh, awesome. Let's go.
Okay, guys.
You guys good?
Awesome.
There you go, right up there.
Two friends here. If you guys want to take a shot at the tag team champions, quickly.
What's up, guys?
Here we go. Here they are together.
Last picture.
All right, so Jackson, stick around.
this part. What's going
Hey,
on?
guys, let's get the hands up there, please.
Am I picking
Okay.
people or you?
No, I will.
Oh, yeah. I don't want to have to do that.
Hands up, let's go with Izzy.
Hi, gentlemen, congratulations on
Thank
such
you.
a huge win tonight. Now, during and leading up to the match, we saw that the Young Bucks and Red Dragon had kind of an alliance going on.
Yeah.
Was there a strategy put into place between you and Luchasaurus to break that alliance for this match?
There wasn't so much a strategy. I kind of figured just from the way things have been going that they wouldn't be able to make it through all the way. It's tough though because normally you're wrestling one team. These are two teams who are kind of connected to each other, but also two of the best tag teams in the entire world. So in a way, I'm pretty thankful it didn't last because that was going to be pretty tough to overcome.
Yes.
What was it like just being a part of that match with two other great tag teams like that?
Yeah.
And being able to come back and get the victory and all that?
It feels really cool. They're just, I've been a part of a bunch of matches I really like, but when you're in there with guys like that, you just feel things at a different level. And physically things are happening at a different level, but also then when you hear the crowd reacting, it's at a different level. And those are two of the absolute best tag teams in the world. So to be in there and kind of just hang with them at every step of the way and then come out on top of it feels really cool.
Yeah, Nick.
You've had a wonderful run here, obviously, as tag champions with Luchasaurus, but it's obvious that you're very well beloved by the AEW fans. When this run does eventually come to an end, do you see yourself staying in the tag picture, or do you have your sights set on singles run?
I haven't thought about it too much. I guess, I'd love to have a singles run at some point, but I feel very fortunate. The whole time I've been in a tag team, I've been able to have some pretty big singles matches as well. I had one with Dax. That was one of my favorite matches of all time. One with Kenny, one with Adam Cole.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens. There are so many talented people here and just so many of the best wrestlers that you can find anywhere. I just kind of want to get in there with everyone, whether it's tag or singles or whatever it is. So I guess we'll see as it comes,
Okay, hold on a second. We're gonna have the mics come down, so Leva and Jim can give you the mics. So yes, Leva.
Who's the question asked?
Next question? Yes, in the back?
Hi, gentlemen. Mike Dagger with Lucha Libre Online. So I've seen that you guys have been for a couple of months now. Christian Cage has been a big part of y'all's success right now. How do you feel that Christian has been able to help you guys, grow as a tag team, not only as a tag team, but as wrestlers here in AEW?
I was saying earlier about the kind of levels that there are to this, and Christian's obviously been doing this for so long and been very successful, and I think in kind of everything he does, whether it's his promos or his work in the ring, he has a level of polish that a lot of these guys don't have because he's been at it for so long. So he's brought a lot of things to our attention, a lot in the ring, things we never would have thought about really, and I think it's just, he's helped elevate us, obviously not to his level, but kind of bringing us up, showing us things we wouldn't have thought about without him.
Thank you.
Yes? Yeah.
Hi, John Boy, Spencer Valdez, NSM Today. AEW Revolution marks UCF's first pay-per-view ever.
Right.
being that you are still in the tag picture, what does it mean to have been able to successfully defend the tag titles on a first pay-per-view?
Yeah, that's very cool. We've had, what was this, our 4th defense, but this one definitely felt a lot bigger than the other ones, obviously. The pay-per-views are always so special. I don't know what it is, but there's always just this crazy energy, and I think, I can't think of a pay-per-view that hasn't knocked it out of the park. So to be a part of it in general just feels really cool, but then also to be a part of it first is always great. But I'd love to come back here. The energy was really cool.
Awesome, thank you.
Over here, please.
Jungle Boy, so my question for you is, right now Tony Khan is bringing in a lot of new talent into AEW, a lot of young and hungry talent. You're seen as somebody that is supposed to be the future of AEW, so I gotta ask you, does that add any pressure? How does that motivate you as somebody who's, you know, fighting for their spot?
I don't know. I mean, it's cool. I don't think about it too much because I kind of just try and focus on what I'm doing. I think if they're bringing guys in who are exciting people and are going to have exciting matches, and I want to get in there with them, I feel pretty good about my spot overall. I feel good about having been here since the very beginning. This is my first choice of where I wanted to go, so I'm glad to be here. And whoever it is, let's see what they're about.
Okay, in the back there.
Jungle Boy, I just read your Pro Wrestling Illustrated and Graphsy podcast. The tag team division in AEW is probably the hottest it's ever been in history. There's multiple tag teams, you and Luchasaurus, Private Party, Top Flight. What are you and Luchasaurus going to do to compete with the influx of tag teams and keep those tag team championships?
My thing, I like to wrestle a lot, and a lot of guys come here, and I think, not that it's a bad thing, but they're happy to do other stuff. They're happy to talk or do promos. And I really want to wrestle, and I want to wrestle everybody that's here, because as you said, there are so many teams. And it's cool to have kind of like a never-ending supply of great athletes and performers. So I really would just like to wrestle as frequently as possible, defend these as many times as possible, give as many people chances as we can, and just kind of keep doing what we're doing.
Hi, Samir from Wrestling News Co. Now, if you're talking about giving people chances, is there anybody that you want to face in the ring then?
As he mentioned, Top Flight, those guys are pretty incredible. I love that match. We've wrestled FTR in the past, and I learned a lot from those guys. They're very different from us as wrestlers, but I think we picked up a lot of things from them and learned a lot. I feel like you learn more from the people who are different from you, so that's another thing I'd like to revisit at some point. We've wrestled the Bucks a decent amount of times now, but it's always great with those guys, some of the best ever. So kind of, I feel like there are so many good teams here, you kind of can't go wrong with anybody.
Hello, AJ from the AJ Awesome Show here, and there are some people that doubt you and your ability as the AEW Tag Team Champion. What can you say to those people?
Really all I can say is you gotta watch. I found there are people who will kind of try and talk negatively no matter what you do, and some people are never gonna be happy with it, and it kind of is what it is, but I really enjoy what we're doing, and I feel like when I listen to what's going on out there, the rest of the people really enjoy it. So I try not to worry about it too much and just, watch and see what we're doing.
Jack John Aldo from Podcast Heat. This tag division is so stacked, and we've seen on the timeline of this company just every single time the tag division elevates to another. So when you're in a situation like this where you have two other teams in there, how do you bring new ideas to the table for putting together matches like this?
It's the third team is very interesting because it really changes a lot of the dynamics of what everything is. I feel like in a lot of tag matches, they're not the exact same, but there are structures and things that are very similar throughout them all. It kind of all goes out the window with this. And especially with a team that has there's a lot there. It's not just like three random teams. There's a lot to dig into, kind of with their emotional story and all that. It was challenging, it was very challenging, but I think it was worth the time that it took us to really put into this thing.
Sean Ross Sapp of Fightful, Tony Khan announced that he had purchased Ring of Honor this week.
Yeah.
What were your immediate reactions to that? I mean, you were coming up in wrestling at a time when Ring of Honor was really, really prominent.
Yeah. It's exciting. There's crazy stuff happening now in wrestling that I think a couple years ago you would never have imagined. So I think it's really cool. I think it's just gonna provide new opportunities for people who maybe don't work here now, and some people who do work here now. I guess I'm just excited, kind of with everyone else, to see what exactly that means. But yeah, I don't think there's any way it could be a bad thing. I think it's very cool. Tony's making big moves, he's all about that, so he's continuing to push forward, and I think that's neat.
Couple more questions?
Scott Fishman for TV Insider. I'm just curious, how do you feel that you've grown as a performer in the last couple of years? Not only just because you have the in-ring ability down and you seem to be growing it that way, but also as a kind of a character, you would say, building that side of yourself.
I think the main thing is I feel a lot more comfortable in the ring, just around here, and other aspects of it than I did when I first got here. It's weird because obviously with the way things went, we went for a little bit and then we went for a year plus with nobody in the building. And that was really me kind of cutting my teeth in TV wrestling. I had more matches, I feel like, in front of nobody than I've had in front of full arenas. But I feel like during that time I got to grow a lot and work with new people like Christian and FTR and all these guys. So I feel good in there now. I get nervous every single time. I'm really bad about it. I'll be throwing up in trash cans and all that. But when I'm out there, it just feels great. It's the best thing in the world. So yeah, I'd like to keep improving, keep getting better at the things I'm not good at, and we'll see where it goes.
One more. Jack, AEW just announced that they are going to have shows in California. As a California person,
Finally, dude.
How does it feel?
It feels great.
To be there.
I was saying, it was a year plus. We'd have to fly to Jacksonville, Florida, which is like, it's rough.
Yeah.
There are no direct flights. You have to connect. I feel like being on that plane that long has done more damage to my body than any of this wrestling is ever going to do. So I'm very excited to be able to drive wherever we're going. And also, there's a huge wrestling fan base out there that
We've been waiting for you.
I've been waiting. It's the first Double or Nothing out there was crazy, but I'm very excited to get back there. Yeah, I think it's been really cool, and I hope it can be more regular than what it's been. At least not another 3 years. So it'll be cool.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks,
Oh, yeah. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It does. And where this is crazy. You're from St. Louis, right? You're from St. Louis?
Oh, boy.
Yeah, I gotta fly. I'm gonna go ahead and do this right now.
Yeah, I was. I switched my flight to tomorrow for 9 a.m. God. It was like the last spot on the plane too, so I was going right on.
Yeah.
Oh, now everyone knows.
Hey everyone, Denise flies out tomorrow morning to go meet her at the airport and say hi.
Drove 16 hours to get here.
I drove 6 minutes to get here.
Lucky, I drove 20.
Let's go.
Let's
Let's go.
I just can't help but say that Bob O'Neill's the worst. Oh, I'm sorry.
It will be a melatonin shower in the middle of the day. Personally, I say fuck Bob.
I said that all the time.
Oh, go together. How are you?
Good.
How are you?
Great. Never been better.
Okay, everybody, let's get your hands up.
Oh, fuck yeah. Izzy?
Okay.
Hi.
Ladies first?
We should start with Izzy, then hold on for the mic.
Sorry. How are you, first off?
I'm great.
That's
Great. I'm warning you all now. I'm probably going to start crying at some point because I'm very emotional right now, but I'm great.
I feel you. Well, congratulations on your huge win tonight. Before AEW Revolution, we saw you in 2 pay-per-view matches that were absolutely brutal. Those type of matches take years off of people inside the ring. How many more of those type of matches do you have in you?
Hopefully none, honestly. They're hard. It sucks when just like Kismet stuff sort of happens, you know, and it points you in a very brutal direction, you know. I think dog collar matches are stupid dangerous. I'm happy I still have all my teeth. I didn't even chip one today. But they're very brutal, and it's hard, I think, for fans to understand exactly how brutal they are. You know, I think most people have been punched in the face once or twice in their life, so they can kind of relate to that. But having like, you know, 12, 20 feet of loggers chain attached to your neck, it sucks, and it's one of those why am I doing this moments. But it's just kind of a love letter to Roddy Piper. I mean, my career, I had a couple of good dog collar matches with some good people, and it just kind of made sense to, you know, to tell that story.
In the back there, please.
Oh, Righteous Reg of Pro Wrestling Illustrated and Grab City Podcast. Great match.
Thank you.
Seems like you're having a lot of fun, even though it was super brutal, which is fun. Everybody got a little fake out with MJF and the Cult of Personality, but you pivoted and brought back the AFI thing. How important was it to kind of pay tribute to yourself with the gear and the theme and everything?
I mean, it was pretty important, you know. I loved ROH so much, you know, and I can't explain how happy I am that like my footage, it's in good hands, you know. It's just it's just good to know that it's in the hands of somebody who treat it well. I literally feel like my baby is in somebody's hands that I know will raise the child the right way and do good things with it. And you know, it won't get made into just some tab on a shitty, confusing app that's hard to navigate. And the boys don't get paid anything off it, you know what I mean? So it's just, it was, you know, it's very good. But to kind of pay homage to, you know, myself and stuff like that, listen, I didn't get to do this for 7 years. This didn't exist for 7 years for me. And, you know, obviously the truth is that I love professional wrestling very much. So, you know, to come back and to be able to, for 6 months, you know, it's not just do whatever the fuck you want. It's doing whatever the fuck you want and being cocky enough to know that your way is not the right way. There's never only one right way, but it's fucking good. Yes. And to have somebody that listens to you, and to have somebody that can take an idea and make it even better, and just to have an open dialogue, not just with him, but with other people in the locker room. And it's just, it's great that you don't have to beat your head against the wall and explain, you know, like why your ideas are shitty and why I don't care who you think you are, that you don't know what you're doing. And it's nice. It's everything's just so great. I don't even know if I answered your question.
Thank you. In the back, please.
Brian Rose, TSJ West Palm. You were away from wrestling for a while. How special is it to have these positive feelings about pro wrestling again?
I'm sick of crying. Today's been brutal crying. First time I cried today is when they showed me my ring jacket. Then they replaced the skull and bones with the silhouette of Larry. Started crying. After my match, somebody came up to me. I don't need to say who, and they were just like, "You're gonna hate me for saying this, but I do this because of you." You know, I saw Straight Edge Society, and I was blown away, and I went to WrestleMania to watch you and Rey Mysterio, and I got into wrestling because of you. I didn't know that this particular individual got into wrestling or anything because of me, so it's just, man, I'll put it to you like this. I love Bret Hart, and Bret Hart's career was cut short, and it's a goddamn tragedy because there's people that go over Saudi Arabia and they get paid millions of dollars, and you know that should have been Bret. You know, and I just feel super fortunate and grateful and appreciative that I got a second chance. You know, I'd give it up in a heartbeat to give it to Bret, but I'm going to enjoy it, and I just love that motherfucker so much. You know, like he's the greatest, and he was right. He was fucking Bret Hart is always right.
Punk, thank you. Punk, Nick Hausman with Wrestling Inc. You participated in a very emotional Esquire piece in the past week or so, and I think it showed a lot of people a different side of you that I don't know that I ever expected you to do that and put that out there like that. How did you get sold on participating in that, and what does it mean to you to have the full story, at least from your perspective, or perspective of many others in your life?
Man, I don't know it's not the full story. All that stuff is really, really hard to talk about. I don't like talking about myself, like, you know, and especially about all that stuff, but again, I think it's pretty important to illustrate that I came out on the other side, you know what I mean? All that shit could have destroyed me, you know, being unjustly sued, and, you know, a lot of people could have stood up, said something, helped out, you know, but they didn't, because, you know, they value their jobs or whatever, and, you know, a lot of them are now fired and work here now too, so that's always interesting. It's just important to show people that, you know, recognize when you got a second chance, jump on it, and be grateful and appreciative, you know. I think so it's important to tell those painful stories.
Next question.
Jose Montesino from Lucha Libre Online. First of all, I want to thank you. I have this tattoo here. I tattooed this when I have 14, 15 years old. I'm going to explain you why.
I'm just going to keep crying, it's cool.
I was in high school and I was having a lot of issues with people. I was realizing that.
I have a lot of issues with people too.
I realized the society was having a lot of issues, and watching you raise your voice helped me to be the guy that I am today. With that being said, who do you see in the back and you say, hey, this guy reminds me of me when I was beginning?
I mean, I just look at like every single young kid. I think there's a lot of young kids back here. They're barely 25. You know, some are teenagers, and I think it's important to treat them the way I wanted to be treated by people that were in, you know, management roles and abused them. You know, I think it's important to listen to every voice back there, and again, my way's not the right way, but, you know, we can always talk about stuff and figure out what the best idea is, and I try to just kind of lead by example. I don't, you know, I never pretended to be a leader or anything like that. I just try to treat people the way I wanted to be treated, and hope that they can, you know, maybe learn from watching or asking questions or stuff like that. There's a lot of people. I waste all your time because I would just literally name everybody in the locker room. You know, I do think, just from a youth movement standpoint, AEW is in really, really good hands.
Niger, front row.
Thank you, Najir, Big O Belt Media. I know you're having a lot of fun in the wrestling ring right now. Any chance we see you back on the big screen in any capacity?
Big screen or little screen? Yeah, I'm actually way too busy right now. I don't know how much I can talk about it. So just know that I have too many jobs, and the answer to your question is yes, 100%,
All right.
Absolutely, big and little screen.
Okay, one more question for Punk. Hold on for the microphone.
For you?
We just do it right here. Yep, just, there you go.
Bringing it back, Punk, it's Jay Reddick with the Orlando Sentinel. Bringing it back to the night for just a second, talk to me about where the idea to tell this story through a dog collar match and some of the historical callbacks you guys had, where did that come from?
I think a lot of it can maybe be a happy accident, but if we're gonna, you know, God, I still feel weird about, you know, whatever. Obviously, I love Roddy Piper. I don't think it's a secret that MJF loves Roddy Piper. I think it's important to, while telling, you know, stories, you can always go back to the bedrock of professional wrestling. And I think especially now that we live in such a weird time where there's professional wrestling fans, and then there's the weird WWE fans that's all they've ever seen. So they actually, it's like they don't know other stuff exists, and they don't know that there's other ways of telling stories and doing things, and you know, so everything is just a love letter to professional wrestling. I think sometimes I can maybe be a little too cute for my own good, but I'm having the time of my life, you know. And I think Roddy Piper is one of the greatest of all time. I think Bret Hart was the greatest of all time. I think, you know, Randy Savage is the greatest of all time. And you know, there's a company out there that likes to spin their own yarns and have revisionist history about who truly is great and who, you know, never existed. And we don't do that here. We don't pretend we live in a bubble, you know, and we live in the real world. So, you know, Roddy Piper's my hero, and I wish he was here, because I would really like to see how disappointed he is in me right now.
Thank you very much.
Oh, is that it? I'm done?
You can do more, you can do
Yeah,
more.
please. Because I'm gonna ask Sean why I haven't blocked on Twitter, because
I don't know why. I
Must have said something
I
really
tweeted
stupid.
you about Joe Kinda. You talked about
You must have
Discovery
said
Channel.
something
I
stupid.
swear I didn't.
There's no way I'd block you, because did you insult Joe Kenda? 'Cause
No, Joe Kinda's the legend. Are we, am I wrong?
I'm not unblocking you, I just go ahead.
Okay. Well, I mean.
For the mic, hold on, guys.
Thank you.
Go ahead, John.
Whatever you go through, as long as you want.
Yeah,
So-
look at this guy.
We see you
We're off the
emotional
clock,
now.
guys, we're off the clock.
We see you emotional now. How were you when you, I mean, what was your reaction when you found out Tony was buying ROH? Because that had to be a pretty special moment.
Like I said, I was relieved, you know, because obviously, let's talk facts. It was either Tony was gonna buy it or Vince was gonna buy it. And I don't want Vince to own any of my footage. He owns enough of it. You know, he owns enough of it that I don't get paid off of. People need to understand that when I left, I was asking questions about the network, which had not been launched yet. I was saying, how am I gonna get paid off this? We don't even understand what the pay scale is. I don't know if I get paid off a gate for a pay-per-view, off a buy rate for a pay-per-view. You guys already just throw darts at an imaginary board, and you pay me whatever you want. I still get royalties. That's the only hard copy thing I see is DVD sales. So once all the DVDs go away and you're just putting stuff up on the network, I'm not getting paid. Or am I? Tell me, let's talk about it. Oh, my guy, you're good. Oh, yeah, don't worry about it, don't worry about it. They couldn't tell me. And now, I've watched my royalty checks, which I still get, dwindle to nothing because they just put everything on the network. And the boys don't get paid. That's not just me, that's everybody. That's criminal.
Can you hand the mic to John?
Hey, John Alba Podcast. I think a lot of us would agree that pro wrestling is kind of at its best when you emote something and the fans feel with the match that they're watching, and your feud with MJF was full of different individual moments like that. When you look back on this, how proud of the story that you told are you, and what was your experience like working with Max?
I'm super proud of it. I do not say this lightly. I could be done again, you know? If I wasn't having so much goddamn fun. I feel this is taken away from me. I feel I got a second chance and I came back, and, you know, being the best is a subjective thing. I think some people, you know, I think Brian's the best. I think Brett's the best. Some people think I'm pretty good. But to be able to come back after 7 years and knock the dust off, I think I did pretty fucking good for a 43-year-old guy who didn't take bumps for 7-8 years. And I'll pat myself on the back for that one. You know what I mean? I'm still not as old as, damn, what's his name? Who's in Roadhouse with Patrick Swayze? Not Terry. No.
Sam Elliott?
Sam Elliott. Sam Elliott was 45 when he did Roadhouse. I still got time. I still got time. But yes, I do that. I wrestled Terry Funk when he was almost 60, so I'm okay. I'm doing good. I'm doing good.
Okay, one more right here.
Hi, my name is Justin from the Wrestling Classic. First things first, I want to say I started that page a month after you left, but it was because of you I got back into wrestling, so thank you.
I'm sorry.
Also, I apologize that's the page MJF said got him to want to drive home and wrestle. Because,
Right on, it's fine.
that was my bad.
Max, you know,
Yeah.
he owes me a lot.
But that being said, secondly too, I want to say as a Canadian, I'm very happy how much you love Bret Hart. That's really cool. But lastly, at the end of the match, you kind of made a signal that you want to go for the championship. Is that something we'll be looking forward to soon?
I mean, I think so. I mean, there's people that want to wrestle here, you know, just for wrestling's sake. But after a while, you know, you gotta. I don't know if I have I don't know how much time I have. I don't know how many matches I have left. So if I'm not working my way towards the title shot, if I'm not trying to be where Hangman is, I don't know what I'm doing. So I do think that is something that might happen. Keep your eyes on it. I don't know. There's a ranking system here, so I think I'm doing pretty good. And we'll see what, I like Hangman though, see, that's the problem, you know, it's a lot easier to wrestle somebody when you hate them, but I like that cowboy.
Here we go. Joe.
Thank you.
Hi, Joel Torres from Contralona. Every day we learn. We learn something different. Did you learn something working with Maxwell? And what's that thing that you learned that you can share with us?
I learned that there's hope, because there's kids, just like me, who love the business for all the right reasons, and just kind of love the classics, you know? It's like kids still start garage bands and play Ramones covers, you know what I mean? And, you know, fuck them, but Max is one of those kids. You know, he it's weird, right? Because he's a kid who grew up and he was a WWF fan, but he's kind of a savant, because he went back and like he watches like some of the most obscure stuff, and he loves all kinds of wrestling except for maybe New Japan. I think he hates New Japan. But just, you know, knowing that there's kids like that put in the work, that study the history, and you know, they get it, and they're respectful, and it's just there's hope, you know. Thank you.
Last question with AJ.
Once again, great match tonight.
Thank you.
And how was your time training with Harley Race?
There's hope for the generation.
I thankfully, I never actually trained with Harley. He would just book me on his shows, and he would throw up in my car, and I would ride on his boat, and the most horrible thing that would happen is he would just drive the boat, and every time he said, beer, I had to hand him a beer, and I was always like, maybe you shouldn't be driving the boat, drinking. But just being in his house, it's weird, right? Do you ever get hit with a stun gun? No? I don't recommend it. Shut your whole body off. I thought I pissed myself, but he hit me in the butt with it, and it's not fun. But that's kind of cool, right? You know, because Harley Race liked me enough to zap me with a stun gun. You know, I think that's pretty neat. But I did learn a lot from him. He refereed a bunch of my matches. There was one particular match, I think every time I got taken over in a headlock takeover, he would bend down and he would check on me. He'd be like, "What do you say?" And he would stick both his fingers up my nostrils, and it was awful because he had gigantic hands, and he would just jam his middle finger and his pointer finger like in my nose, and it sucked. But I, you know, just being around him, I learned a ton from him. He was a pretty hard trainer, so thankfully I never had to roll around and take bumps, but just being on his shows, he was the, man, this is peeling back the curtain. I'm not supposed to say words like this, but he's the guy who taught me how to make a blade, and I think he would be pretty goddamn proud of me right now. This poor guy looks so worried. Let's get him out of the way. Yeah, you got it. You got it. Burnt blazer. It's hot as fuck in here. This poor guy's been.
Last question.
Thank you so much, folks. Spencer Valdez, NSM Today at UCF. You've previously gone on record mentioning professional wrestling as one of the great original American art forms, along with comic books and jazz music. And I noted during your match, and as well as Danielson versus Moxley tonight, that there is something delightful, akin to jazz music, in watching two competitors figure it out in the ring with their psychology. What are some correlations that you can make between professional wrestling and jazz?
Well, you know, my deep jazz background. You could have said comic books, and I could have spun that yarn.
Comics works too.
I mean, good and evil. You know, it's bad guys versus good guys. Comic books are comic books is pro wrestling, you know, larger than life characters, but also characters people can identify with. You know, some people love the Incredible Hulk. Nobody here knows anybody that's the Incredible Hulk, but everybody here knows somebody who's Peter Parker, everyday kid, got a big secret, you know, great power comes great responsibility. Just, you know, stuff like that. I think a lot of the times we are larger than life characters, but then you get a guy like me who's, you know, pretty much not, you know. There was a quote in that Esquire piece from me, I think it was from a young lady named Lindsay Kelk, and she said that, you know, you knew when The Undertaker was done, he was changing out of his gear, and he was getting in a car, and he was driving home or whatever, and you can't really, because you can't really picture that guy in the top hat, you know, driving a car or whatever, but CM Punk was, you know, I'm one of you, and when I win, you win, because chances are you know a dude like me. I wear fucking sneakers for too long until, you know, my back starts to hurt because I've worn out the soles, and I have one pair of jeans, and I wear a hoodie, and I love my dog and my wife, you know what I mean? And I wear my heart on my sleeve, and honest to a fault. And so I think a lot of times kids can watch that and see that, and it's just like sometimes picking up a comic book and reading a comic book and seeing a kid like Peter Parker who's just like, he goes to high school, he lives with his Aunt May, you know, just stuff that can humanize people. So I think that's how those two things are similar. And jazz and pro wrestling, like you got me and you got Brian right now, and you told us to go in the ring and wrestle for 30 minutes, we'd be like, yeah, fine. We gotta talk about shit just like a good jazz musician. You can get up on stage, never meet the bass player, doesn't know who's playing drums behind him, and can just do whatever. Go.
Awesome.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you, guys.
I appreciate everybody. Thank you for doing what you guys do, and thanks for coming to the show.
Thank you.
I'm sick of crying. Have that removed.
So I was able to see his picture up on the wall.
That's awesome, man. That was a great question, AJ. Much like your namesake.
What's up? Hello, hello.
Sorry about that.
Thanks. Of course, man.
Hey, guys. Okay, Izzy, why don't you start us off?
Hi, Nathan. Congratulations on your win tonight.
Oh, thank you.
Of course. Now, we saw during CM Punk's match that he did both potentially want a shot. Does that frighten you at all, knowing that you still have the biggest target on your back in the AEW?
Frighten me? No, excite me, yeah. Of course, a good portion of our roster I grew up watching. He, of course, is one of them. His entrance tonight was incredible, chills down my spine. So I completely welcome it, if that's what he said. We'll find out Wednesday, I assume.
Thank you.
Yes, in the back.
Oh, hey, man, great match.
Hi, thank you.
Pro Wrestling Illustrated and Grassy Podcast. Insane show we had tonight. Shout out to Tony Khan. How do you, as the champion and the main eventer, stay focused when there's so many amazing things going on before your match? How do you just say, I'm gonna not ignore everything that they did and do the best that I can to have the best match of the night?
It's tough because tonight was a hell of a show. I mean, there was everything. You saw everything before I ever got out there, and I saw it too because I watched the entire show. It's difficult, and especially these days, having a child at home, I feel very scatterbrained all the time. So it's, maybe that's a good thing today because I wasn't able to take everything in and let it start to worry me, but I just get so damn excited to do this. So I think watching anyone else do it doesn't bother me at all, you know.
This question in the back, ESPN.
Brian Rowe, TSP West Palm. You and Nicole, long storytelling. I got a little bit of a break with him working elsewhere. What was it like being in the ring with him again?
Oddly familiar, knowing that I haven't seen him since, 2017 maybe, in the ring. Very familiar. We have familiar or similar move sets to a degree. And it was, I don't know, man, it was kind of refreshing because, man, when he left Ring of Honor, he was the man, you know what I mean? Like, he was the man. And I was just a kid trying to figure it out. And to get to be across the ring from him today and be able to hang and then beat his ass felt very good, very validating, you know. One of the few times recently I felt really good about myself, I guess.
Congratulations.
Oh, thank you.
Brought up Ring of Honor there. You obviously cut your teeth there, and now Tony owns it. What would
Isn't
you
that
like
wild?
To,
Isn't that crazy? I had no idea.
Yeah. What would you like to see Tony do with Ring of Honor?
You know what? I could give you 1,000 different ideas, but the truth is, honestly, whatever the hell he wants, because I think he has a very good track record with what he's done with AEW. So going forward, I trust this man with Ring of Honor, and I really do. I care a lot about Ring of Honor, and I trust Tony with it because I know that he does too. He knows more about Ring of Honor than I do, I'm sure. You know, and I worked there for a very long time. You know, whatever your intentions are, whatever your plans are, whatever you end up deciding to do, hey, and that's a lot more people who, you know, will have a job in wrestling. And that's one of the big things I was excited about with AEW, because I knew, you know, all my friends who you know, were just trying to scrape by would be able to make a living doing this. And that's really the dream. So to continue that, I mean, it's a blessing. So I'm happy no matter what. Yeah.
Thanks. Right there, Lee, in front of you.
Jose Montesino from the Charlie Brown line. First of all, congratulations.
¿Qué pasa, amigo?
You said that you beat one of the mans from Ring of Honor, and now you have on the list, you beat Kenny Omega, you beat Adam Cole now. We know that you and CM Punk will be a great match, but outside from CM Punk, who do you have in mind on defending that championship? And how it feels to have all the pressure in the world? Because to be honest, right now, All Elite is one of the hottest companies, so how do you feel to have that pressure, to be the guy, face of?
Honestly, it's tough. I'll be honest with you, because I watched today's show. I saw everything on the show, and it's tough to know that you have to follow every single bit of that. But I trust, you know, I trust myself. I trust our fans to be there. And when the bell rang and people are chanting, "Let's go Adam," you know, I don't know if they meant me or him, but it's a good feeling either way because they cared. So that pressure is tough, and I think it's made me, I don't know, maybe a better person in some ways, maybe a worse one, I don't know, and maybe I'll figure that out one day. But I welcome it, I thrive in it, yeah.
Scott?
Scott Fishman, TV Insider. You mentioned, you know, having a child at home. How would you say that kind of has impacted the way you look at wrestling now? You know, the way you know, you wrestle a very physical style right now. You're on the road now, so now you have someone at home that, you know, you have to think about. So how does that kind of change things?
It's tough. I miss it. This is the longest loop we've done in a while. Because, you know, usually it's I'll leave home on Tuesday night and get home Thursday morning first thing, so it's not as bad. This has been a while. It's tough, truthfully. Someone asked me before if maybe, you know, does it change my in-ring style? Do I want to be a little safer? And honestly, I think the answer is no. It may be the opposite. I'm even more reckless because I have this and I have to retain this. I have to keep this. This is what puts food on his table. So I think it's just one more piece that adds to all that pressure. But again, I welcome that.
Here we go.
Hi, congratulations on your win tonight. I'm Cindy
Thank
with
you.
Wrestling News Co. Could we see you possibly work with ROH in some way?
Sure, I'm completely open to that. I have, you know, again, I have no idea what Ring of Honor will be going forward. So I have, no idea. I can't. It's kind of hard to say anything there. But I certainly wouldn't mind showing up again. Yeah.
Hi, Adam, Denise Salcedo, Instinct Culture. So I want to ask you, because obviously we were there when you won the title and we got to talk to you, and you've had battles, with Lance Archer, Bryan Danielson, etc. Now Adam Cole. So my question to you is, have you surprised yourself in terms of the champion that you have become?
Maybe so. Yeah, maybe a bit. I always, I would even say, not even my whole time in AEW, but not even my whole career, my whole damn life, I have just imagined what it would be like to climb that mountain and win the world championship. And I did it, and I never really thought about what would happen the next day. And that's been tough. It's an adjustment because now I'm not sure beyond holding on to this, what the monumental goal in my life is, other than holding on to this. Have I surprised myself? Sure, yeah. My body's surprised myself as well. I'm very surprised. I can still use my arms. But yeah, it's been good. It's been rewarding too to hear people still be there for it after such an emotional roller coaster ride that they've been on to winning the championship, to still be there with me, knowing I've climbed the mountain. Now they want to see me stay on top of it. That's rewarding.
John, and then AJ.
Hey man, John Alba Podcast Heat. I think a lot of people resonated with your journey because you were very vulnerable and you were very transparent, the anxious millennial cowboy, all that stuff. And we see you now using your platform, talking about LGBTQ+, and promoting other things like that. How do you feel you're making usage of your platform as champion for advocating for other causes?
I don't know. I hope I do a good job. I mean, I want to stay champion forever, but more than anything, I just want to be a good person. Anytime that I could put something out that someone could donate to, or anything, maybe just humor. Some people. I feel like I change my mind a lot when someone can make me laugh. If you can make me laugh, I'm more likely to listen to you, to believe you. And if somebody thinks something's funny, that's great. Maybe I can change a mind or two. I don't know. Not to think loftily of myself. I certainly don't. I promise you.
Good, AJ.
AJ from the AJ Awesome Show here.
Oh, hello. I recognize you. It's been a while.
Being Team Dom with Red Dragon and Dark Order coming out to save you several times before, how has your relationship with Dark Order changed for the better or the worse while you've been the champion?
It's tough. I don't know. I probably need to talk to them after tonight. I definitely do. I don't want to say anything negative about those guys. I don't know, maybe it's not a good idea to say too many negative things about myself, but I certainly, when we're done with this, I hope they're still here. I could find them, Alex at least. I don't know, I'm sorry, it's not a very straightforward answer. I don't know that I have one, yeah.
Okay, so two more questions, Sean, and then we'll end it with UCF.
Sean on staff of Fightful. You had a win tonight. You had a pretty savage beating of Kane on Twitter last week. My question is, had you watched that video prior, or did you search that video to post it?
I think I searched it verbatim and it was a real thing.
Yeah. YouTube has everything.
Right, yeah, of course. I probably just typed in cane chairs or something, it was the first thing that showed up. Some of those were very brutal, Jesus Christ. I'm glad we don't do that too much anymore. Yeah, thank God for that.
Okay, last question, Spencer.
Thank you. Hangman Spencer Valdez, NSM Today with UCF. The last time we saw UCF see AEW was Dynamite in October. It's since been 5 months. It's a relatively short time frame, but knowing the way things move in professional wrestling, where do you hope to be in your career by the time AEW makes its way back to UCF again? And I hope there isn't again.
I hope there is too, and judging by tonight, there probably will be. I hope to still be holding this. I hope to still be holding this and feel a little better about some things here and there. But yeah, I hope to still be your AEW World Champion by the time we come back.
Awesome.
Do we have a comeback?
I haven't planned a date back yet, but I mean, hey, definitely want to come back here. It's been great. It was great for TV, and it was amazing for the pay-per-view tonight.
Sold out crowd as
yeah,
well?
They
Yeah,
were tremendous crowd. They sold out.
Incredible.
And capacity crowd, and great support for Rampage also. So I loved it here. Thanks.
Thank you, Hangman.
Cool, thank you guys, appreciate it. We're literally gonna go to the airport now. No, you're good. You're good. Thanks. Thank you.
Okay, guys, let's hold on to the microphone. Leave it over here. Let's start with Nick.
Thank you. All right, Tony, congratulations, you won Ring of Honor. A lot of questions. Two-part. One, what are you going to do? And two, was Sinclair Broadcasting Distribution intertwined with the deal?
Well, I think it's a big question. What are you going to do is a very big question. I think that's broad, and I don't think I can do it justice here with a lot of people wanting to ask questions, but I do have a lot of plans. I was very excited about reaching an agreement. I'm still planning to make more announcements. I think I'm still in a very preliminary phase, and obviously it's been a very busy time with AEW and Revolution and all the things going on. So I'll have a lot more to say about it. What am I going to do? I think there's a lot of things we still need to figure out. The distribution is a great question. What we're going to do going forward. I think it assumes that we're going to do something going forward. And yeah, I do still want to continue the operations going forward, and I am very excited about it and do have a lot of plans for it. So there will, I do expect to continue the wrestling operations, and it's also a very valuable library that we acquired. So distribution, I can't say anything yet about what it will be and how it's going to live and exist, but I'm very excited about not just the library of past content, but the opportunities to create more content. And also, obviously, there are many other revenue streams, merchandising, that we'll be able to generate, but it creates a lot of opportunities for us. And it's great. I think for AEW, strategically, it's very good that I also now am going to be owning Ring of Honor. And as for what I'm going to be doing with it, let's come back to that. Let me talk about Revolution. I'm really excited about Revolution, and I'll come back. I'll talk more Ring of Honor. But
Niger?
Well, my question was going to be Ring of Honor-ish, but it's okay.
Well, do you want to come back to it? Let me talk some Revolution.
I'll come back to it.
Thanks.
Okay, let's go.
Who's got a Revolution
Let's go
question?
with Scott Fishman then.
Oh, thanks. Myself and a lot of people were excited to see William Regal tonight. What can you tell us about how that deal came together, what it was like having him, and what his future with AEW is?
Well, I was very surprised to see he had been released and he was going to be available. I have tons of respect for his mind, and I think he's going to be a very valuable person here in AEW. Obviously, I think people who followed his career closely know that he has a very long established connection with Bryan Danielson and was instrumental in shaping the pro wrestler that Bryan Danielson has become, who I think is not just, he is one of the greatest pro wrestlers today, and I think he's also one of the greatest pro wrestlers of all time. I really do. And I think Lord Regal had a big contribution to that. So I think when he was released, I was first of all very surprised, but also eager to bring him here. I think he can contribute on screen in a major way to both Bryan Danielson, and also he has a history with Jon Moxley. And I think some of the last matches we saw Lord Regal wrestle were against Jon Moxley, and they had a great rivalry also. So he's very familiar with both men. They both have a lot of respect for him, and I think we saw that after the violence and the way they bled together tonight, they've built a lot of mutual respect now with each other. So I think that's very exciting. And also behind the scenes, I'm really excited to have him here. I think Lord Regal can teach all of us, everyone here, a lot, and it's going to be great having him here. And I'm very excited, like I said, on screen and off screen. It came together very recently, and it fits very well. I think, with what we're doing here in AEW all around. Thanks for asking.
Izzy and then Dave.
Hi Tony, Izzy from the Hot Side with Izzy. Congratulations on such a huge night. Now leading up to Revolution, we saw a music album come out to celebrate Black History Month. Last night, fans got to witness a concert featuring Josiah Williams, Mikey Ruckus, and many other. The music industry and pro wrestling kind of go hand in hand. So can AEW fans expect more of a crossover between music and AEW in the near future?
Yes, absolutely. I think that project was one of the most exciting things we've done in terms of music. And some of those songs have now made their way on screen for us also. And also, in addition to that, I think I'd like to continue collaborating and hopefully put out more content with those artists, and we have more ideas for songs as we continue building the roster. And we've had a lot of great music crossovers. Something which might surprise a lot of people, Adam Cole's theme was the #1 rock theme. Oh, I'm sorry, the number one rock song on iTunes at one point, and also the #1 metal song a few times, like on and off, and is consistently charted. So we've done a lot of great things. I think Mikey Ruckus has done an awesome job, and all the people who contributed in the room, including people in the room. Thanks, Will.
Yes, me too. I was there.
Oh, thank you, Will. Thank you. Sorry, guys. Will and I talked to Will a good amount, honestly, to be honest, because, and I'm sorry, Reg, because I don't know you as well. But Will, I was excited because if you don't know, Will is also excited, I'm excited to have him here because he's related to Swerve, who signed tonight. And I was pretty excited about that also, and so that was great. And he's tremendous. And speaking of the event that you just brought up, he was here last night for it, and I tried to, yeah. But I think people had a good idea he was probably going to be coming here, and I'm a huge fan of his and have been for a long time. And I know Will, you'd speak to his greatness. But so anyway, I very excited about all the people that worked on that project, and also, like I said, I think there's a lot of opportunities, and we've gotten also collaborated with a lot of artists on like using licensed themes, and I think there's been some good ones, and like the Orange Cassidy theme is and obviously the Cult of Personality is huge for us, and Ruby Soho has a great theme, and also tonight we saw that one that Darby Allin's theme is a licensed theme even, which is a great theme. A bunch of really, really good ones, and Hook has a great one also. So thanks for asking. I think there's, in addition to licensing music, we ourselves can create more content for a diverse array of wrestlers and with a diverse array of artists.
Thank you.
Dave?
Hey Tony, thanks for everything tonight.
Thanks, Dave.
Great night.
Thanks, Dave.
Watching Punk get emotional just before, what are you feeling watching him fall back in love with pro wrestling again?
It's the best. I was starting to see it before All Out, and I don't think I could be any happier with where we're at now. He's been here now for 3 pay-per-views. I think his matches have been tremendous, and the pay-per-views have been tremendous. I think this will be another great buy rate for us, and I expect the biggest Revolution yet, quite possibly, and this to be another great event. And since he's been here, we have done our last 2 events are the 2 biggest pay-per-views we've ever done, so he's like really helped the business. But for me personally also, it's been really great for me because he got me so excited about that time going into All Out. It was really fun collaborating with him and building something special, and I'll never forget coming up with what became the first dance with him, and then finding out we actually were able to get it on a Friday, and I wasn't even planning to do that show live first, and then it was like, okay, we could do that, we could do a Friday live Rampage, and I had a lot of things planned for the first one with Kenny versus Christian and everything, and Britt versus Red Velvet in Pittsburgh, and a really huge show top to bottom, and I on the second show had some things I wanted to do, but never going into it, I think at first that's what we would be doing. So when that became available, we figured that out, and I'll never forget going to the TV and telling Darby, I just have one thing you got to say, and the look in his eye, I'll never forget when it was, this is where you got to be. If you think you're a great wrestler, this is where you got to be, even if you think you're the best in the world. And he was the only person I told, and then he smiled, and kind of knowing what might be in store, and then that set off a chain of events that has been so awesome. He is really special. You guys saw that here. I think everybody was here for that. And, well, you know, seeing where he's at now and where he was at, he was very happy when he came back. You could see it from the first dance, from All Out, and I think it's continued. Like, you know, he's hit home run after home run for us, so I'm very grateful that he's back. And it's been a real pleasure and a real treat for me, and what an amazing match the dog collar match was, on a great match on an amazing pay-per-view. Thank you.
Last row, please.
Will Washington, Rap City
Yes.
on Fightful.com. So on the topic of one Swerve Strickland, he made what some might call a high-profile debut tonight. Can you talk a little bit more about, without I guess getting into the creative plans, what you see for him as a performer in the future?
Well, I think I have a lot of ideas coming out of the pay-per-view. You always have to look, and we'll look at where the injury toll is, and I'm going to check where the body. There was a lot very hard-hitting pay-per-view, so I don't want to speak for anybody till I get their medical status, but there's a lot of great opponents in AEW for them, and a lot of them went through crazy matches tonight. We'll see who's available on the roster, but I know that there's big matches and dream matches involving Swerve, and I'm very excited that he made his first appearance in AEW tonight at Revolution. I thought that I wanted to have it, in addition to Lord Regal coming after the Danielson-Moxley match, I wanted to debut a star who I think would be great for us for the future, and that's Swerve. And I was, again, somebody else who I was very surprised would be released, because he had done very well, I think, in the matches and in out the segments I'd seen, and he was somebody I really liked, and so I was looking to snap him up, and I thought Revolution, such a great match, such a great night of great matches, would be a great stage for him to come out, and I think it was a very high-profile debut, and again, he's a great wrestler who now we have that many more dream matches here in AEW. Thanks.
Right next to Will.
Righteous Reg, Pro Wrestling
Hey, Reg.
Illustrated, Wrestling Podcast also. Kind of along the same lines, Swerve Scott was signed today. Recently, Keith Lee, AQA.
Swerve Strickland.
Swerve Strickland.
And then
sorry.
Keith Lee, AQA?
Yes, yes. Keith Lee and AQA, kind of a part of me. I created a Black Wrestling's list, 500 Black Wrestlers. I'm interested in Black wrestlers. There was a controversial tweet by yourself very recently concerning a released wrestler. How do you feel like you have bounced back and kind of aided in there being more Black representation on AEW?
Well, that was always my goal, and I think that was the point I was, it's been a long time, but that's a point I've been, eager to make, is that I've always cared about that representation, but as you've seen in recent months, there's also contracts starting to expire. I can't renew everybody, and in the time that's passed since then, I think people have seen I'm serious, that I'm going to start signing more people, and the people you've all named have debuted here. Keith Lee, AQA, and now Swerve Strickland, and many other debuts in that time, and that have been great debuts. And I think, in addition to people coming in, there's also going to be people coming out, and I try to do it based on merit. And that was the point I was making at the time, is I'm going to evaluate people based on how good I think their wrestling is, in addition to a variety of other factors, and nothing else, but that I am always prioritizing the diversity, and I think that we made huge leaps and bounds in the time since then, and I can see that you're nodding, that you agree with me, and also that was going into the Jade's championship match and her dominant run, and we didn't mention her, but I think she's been a dominant champion. She had a great match tonight, and to be honest, I offered her the opportunity to come in here and be on here with all the champions, but I'll be honest, she's a big time star, and she wanted to move on with her night. It's not that I didn't invite her to be here, she just didn't want to screw around and wait around with you all. Jade had bigger things to do, but she's and you can see when she's out there, she's the boss. So I think I'm very excited about what we're doing, and she's a great wrestler, by the way, and I have to say that since I brought her up, and she's not in the scrum to talk about it, and he's not in here to talk about it, she's really she's worked with, speaking of representation, Sanjay Dutt, who has done a great job with her, and that's not who you thought I was going to say, because there's been more headlines for the other person, but Sanjay Dutt also represents, I think, great representation in pro wrestling. When I was growing up, there was nobody who looked like me, that was on TV, that was pushed, and that had any gimmick that wasn't really offensive and that particularly really could go. And Sanjay Dutt, I didn't really look up to growing up because we're literally the same age. We were born the same year. And when I was in college, it was a guy when I was finally like, oh man, this is a guy who looks like me and who can really go. And it's great working with him and having him here. And he's been really great for Jade. He's a great thinker. He's a great, in general, he's a great person. And also Brian Danielson. And Brian Danielson has a great mind, so that's the person who's not here also, who's done a great job, I think, with Jade. And I'd asked him to please help, try to help coach somebody who I see a ton of potential in, and I think is already was the Rookie of the Year and could take it to another level now in year 2. And tonight you saw that. I thought her match was excellent. Ty Conti then, speaking of which, tremendous, also great representation, and had a tremendous match, and has a lot to be proud of, because even though she has won the title on the last 2 pay-per-views she's been on, she has been excellent, and that's that's very typical of her. And in between, she had one of the best TV matches in recent memory, along with teaming with Anna Jay against Penelope and the Bunny in their street fight, which was a tremendous match on Rampage. And Ty Conti, that's why she is the most improved wrestler of the year. So you saw the Rookie of the Year and the most improved wrestler of the year in a great match. That I was really happy for both of them also. So thank you for asking that.
Hi Tony, Mike Dagger for Lucha Libre Online. So I wanted to ask you, you already have all of the pro wrestling hardcore fans on your side with AEW, right? What is your plan for the casual fans to bring them over to AEW to be able to watch your product, right? And also, I have a question on top of that, is what is your plan for your Spanish viewers and your Latin American viewers to be able to give them more of AEW?
That's a great question. Let me take that one first, and then let me go back to your first. So your first question was a little bit broader, so come on, let me ask you your second one, and then I'll ask your first one again.
Yeah,
Okay?
the second one was,
so,
what is your plan for the Spanish viewers?
Yes, absolutely.
And Latin America, to bring them more of AEW?
Absolutely, so I'll take that one first, and then we'll go back to the first one. So we're trying to put the content out in more places. Obviously, now we have a great deal with Space and Warner, working with like different partners for distribution, and that will come back our great deal with Warner Media and how great a partner they've been for getting our product across to the mainstream. I think I'll come back to that in the first question you asked also, but I think to connect with that audience, obviously it goes back to the same subject of diversity I was just talking about, and it comes from pushing a diverse array of wrestlers throughout tonight. You saw that, and definitely it included a lot of great Latino and Latina wrestlers. And Ty Conti, I just mentioned, what an amazing match. It's no secret, her boyfriend, Sammy Guevara, is the TNT champion. He was victorious tonight in the Tornado Trios match that I thought was an excellent match. And on the other side was Andrade El Idolo, who was a tremendous wrestler. And Andrade El Idolo and Sammy were both involved in a match on Rampage on Friday night. Speaking of which, on the live Rampage, that was one of the best TV matches you're going to see this entire year. And it was only March, so it's still early in the year, but I'm going to say that that's a top TV match, and they really delivered. And in addition to them, there are a number of other wrestlers, of course, the Lucha Brothers, great champions. Very unfortunate, Phoenix getting hurt, especially as high profile of a big star as he's been from us from day one, and a great World Tag Team Champion, and his brother Penta, and a number of other great stars, and it also from building young developmental, Daniel Garcia. Talk about building for the future. Daniel Garcia, one of the top young stars, and I think and it will keep developing a diverse group of talent, and also trying to put it out more places and trying to make the shows better and put more features and more content out there, if that makes sense. And I'm always looking to bring in new stars, and all the people I named are people that are important, and I think there's some other ones too. But going back to your first question then, which is a broader question. How do you get the content into the mainstream? Well, it's great. I think we're doing things. We're working with media partners, and there's obviously some of it is being here with you, right? Because all of you put stories out, people read these newspapers, and it brings in new fans and online, and all of your various sites and blogs and vlogs and all the content you are putting out helps us. So it's why the media is so valuable to AEW. I think the great support that all of you give us by checking out our shows and giving us a fair chance to put out really good wrestling, which we try to do. So that's a big part of it, is all of you. And speaking of media, like, we have one of the biggest media companies and one of the biggest companies in the world at disseminating our content domestically and internationally. We have some of the top partners. So I think internationally, you know, ITV, you couldn't ask for a better partner in England. In addition, Fight TV, all available all over. But for the mainstream, ITV is a great platform. TSN is a channel that people watch in Canada on a regular. And then here in America, where the lion's share of the revenue is made, we have a great relationship with Warner Media, and that's where TNT and now TBS also, it's so good for us. So speaking of what you said, you know, we had a great audience on TNT for many years, and because that audience was so good, they gave us a second show on TNT, and then we were able to move to TBS, and now we have a flag planted on both channels with Dynamite on TBS and Rampage on TNT, plus another Battle of the Belts, which was, our first one was very successful, and there's more Battle of the Belts on TNT. So by being on such a big channel, it's helped us create an interest in a wrestling company in the mainstream that there hasn't been in a long time, because there hasn't really been another wrestling company that had this kind of TV deal in 20 years.
So all you guys are needing is a streaming service, right?
I can't comment on that, and I think there's a lot of things happening. It's a great question, and that's very fair too. And that would be another great thing, because with TNT and TBS to add a streaming service, that would be wonderful. But that's not all up to me in terms of, I think there's a chance to work with the great media partners we have and hopefully create something. And now, going back to what I said about Ring of Honor, now I would own a great library, and I think we've created hundreds and hundreds of great hours of content, and now on top of that, we're adding thousands of hours of also great content. So it's a great opportunity. So I think streaming service would be good, excuse me. But I can't say for sure. It's not 100% in my court, if that makes sense.
Appreciate your time.
Sure. We've talked about Revolution a good amount, so some of the Ring of Honor people I didn't get to, I'll field questions about both, but hopefully there's still some Revolution, because it's such a great night. Thank you.
Steph?
Hi, Debbie, Stephanie Cheers with Revolution Questions. So earlier in the week, I asked you about ordering the card because it was so stacked and so many big matches. And we'll see what you did with it tonight. And I thought like you made really good choices with how you started off with something as hard as Jericho and Kingston as well. What do you think about how you put the order together? And what have you learned since doing AEW about how to order wrestling that you might not have expected as a fan watching?
That's a great question. I really try and work with different people and, you know, build a flow to the show, and I thought this was a perfect flow to the show. I really appreciate you saying that. I thought it was a perfect night too, and thank you. I wouldn't change a thing about it, and that's good, like, because I'm hard on it, and sometimes after the TV shows, I'm kicking myself because maybe I would change an order, but recently it's been going really well, and the fans seem to agree with it too, because we've done 126 episodes of Dynamite, and the last 4 weeks is the highest run of the fans have ever voted on Cage Match. So the Dynamite the last 4 weeks that people really love, and Rampage also was killer, amazing show this week with that, especially with that three-way match. So we're on a great run of TV. So I do feel like pay-per-view and TV, I do think experience has been very valuable. Like I said, doing 126 episodes of Dynamite, doing 31 Rampages, and now this is a dozen pay-per-views, and the last couple had been our biggest buy rates yet, and I think, again, experience doing more of them helps. And like I said, talking to people and talking to the wrestlers, talking to the coaches, getting feedback. What are we, you know, talking to individual wrestlers, like, what do you have planned? What is your game plan? I'm not, you know what I mean? I'm not gonna leak or tell him. And we need to make a good plan for the night that's a good flow for everybody. And absolutely, I'm glad you mentioned it, because Jericho and Eddie Kingston had an awesome opening match, and I thought it was a perfect match to open the night. So that was one I felt really strongly about, and the rest of the card, it came together. It was like a puzzle. I was up late last night still thinking about it, but I think it came out right, and I wouldn't change a thing. So thank you for asking.
Jim?
Jim Barcelona with Miami Herald.
Hey, Jim.
I'm just curious because you're such an analytics type of person, and is it just about the pay-per-view buys, or are there other analytics or things that you look at later from a show like tonight? The crowd was very hot, the matches were excellent, but are there other things that you look at? And then real quick, if there's any update you can give on Paige Van Zandt, and if she's training and what she might be doing with AEW.
Great. Well, I can give an updates on both. So going back to the pay-per-view first. Yes, there are a lot of metrics. The buys, very, very important metric, and I think that's where the most revenue is going to come from. But the live gate was tremendous for us. We've been doing really well at the live gates. We have, a sold-out crowd tonight, and this weekend was very successful for us because this was a very economical thing, and it's also great to make connections, build fans for the future by being on a college campus this week. And we had great support from the college, and obviously great support from the students here. And I think in addition to that, in the gate and the merchandise and all the opportunities to build fans for the future, which, like you said, the crowd was hot. It was great. They were great from the first match, Eddie and Jericho, down to the last match, Cole and Paige, and everything in between. I mean, it was a really great night here. And they went crazy when they saw Lord Regal. They were great for Swerve, and they were awesome in all the matches. And so I thought that was something that, we've really got a great city here, and these are hardcore wrestling fans down in Orlando, honestly. Like, it's built a hardcore base, and it's awesome. And people came from all over the world to see this show, which was excellent. So there are a lot of metrics that are important, and it's also great to have an awesome show. In addition to the buys, you want to have an awesome show because that's going to build more interest in the future shows, like Double or Nothing, our next pay-per-view in Las Vegas, Memorial Day weekend in May, and we've already sold. Look at the amount of we sold. I think sold out.
Just shy of
It was pretty close. About 11,000 tickets. Hey, there's a couple tickets left, ladies and gentlemen. And we've already sold over $1 million in tickets, and you can get yours, and then we'll be even further over. But it's the first time we've ever hit $1 million, and that's a pretty special thing for us. This is Raphael, and most of you guys might know him. A lot of you guys from Wrestling Twitter. A lot of you guys are on there. I think you might know him. And he's a very important person for us, and he was very instrumental. He and I worked together for a long time to get the Arthur Ashe Grand Slam thing put together, and it was a great success for us. And I think we realized just shy of $1 million on that one. We did 960, so we set our sights on it for this one, and that's a great metric for us also. Here we did the long weekend and with the Rampage of Fan Fest and the pay-per-view, very successful. And then you asked about Paige Van Zandt. We'll see Dan Lambert. She did agree to come to the pay-per-view and sit with Dan Lambert and Scorpio Sky, and we have an agreement now that Scorpio Sky would wrestle Sammy Guevara for the TNT title, and the winner of that match is going to go on to the St. Patrick's Day Slam. But it's been, as of this Wednesday, 364 days undefeated for Scorpio Sky. As of when he gets the shot, Sammy is going to give him the shot. We all agreed, and so I'm not going to say anything, confirm anything with Paige Van Zandt until we sign it, because I don't want to take Dan at his word, because I think everyone knows Dan Lambert is very shady guy, right? But no, I seriously am excited. She has been training, and she's been with us here at AEW before. I think she's got a really great natural charisma, and I think, if I give Sky the chance, which I think he's completely earned, and it's been, like I said, almost a year since he's been beat. And we'll see. It's the title versus the streak, and in exchange for making that happen, I think Paige is going to be coming here. So it'll be a tense handoff between me and Dan, but I think we're going to get it done.
Yeah, Spencer.
Ah.
Okay, leave it Spencer, and then we'll.
Yes. Tony, thanks. It's Spencer Valdez, NSM Today with UCF. And thank you so much for bringing AEW back to UCF for a great weekend. When last I reported on AEW, when Dynamite came through in October, I could only find one person who was associated with UCF other than myself and a colleague, and they were an alumnus. Can you talk about ways in which the working relationship between AEW and UCF could be strengthened on the next few go-arounds so that more students in the population can intermingle with AEW fans? And we're good.
That's great, thanks. That's a great question. I think, we can do more. I think, Raphael, when we're here more, that's great. You'll get your contact info, and I think we can do more to connect with the students, absolutely. The next time we come through, I think we will do that. I mean, I know the wrestlers have been out and about on campus and had a good time, so they connected with the students, I know. So I so they were happy I booked this. I will make sure that we do a better job of that, because that you're saying that, then clearly it's something I should focus on, because it is important when we go. We book a lot of colleges. We book a lot of college buildings, a lot of college basketball buildings in particular, And that's always something we can do a lot more of. So it's a very good point, because I do want to make those connections. And that's, again, why doing all this media, you being here and wherever we go, having good media connections locally and nationally and internationally is very important. So we'll do that.
Can our mascot have a shot at a run-in?
A run-in? Well, it depends. Maybe at one of the, that's a good idea for the Universal Dark shows where I experiment more. And so maybe I could pull that off. I've been to this campus before for football purposes, pro days and stuff like that. It's a great campus, so it's great to be back. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning, Jamal Harrell, Big O Media. Question, Ricky Starks took a really nasty bump to end the match tonight. Given his previous neck injuries, can you provide an update for him? And also, will AEW ever publish like a pub list, physically unable to perform, in order to let fans know that maybe their favorite stars won't be on TV for any reason? That doesn't necessarily mean medical, but for any reason on a particular night.
There's times where we do disclose, like, people being out, and it's a good question, maybe like keeping a list of them, all the ones that are publicly disclosed. I think sometimes people don't want their injuries out there, and there's no real reason you know what I mean? If they don't want me to say it, then I don't necessarily always need to, unless there's a story reason why we need to explain their absence or that they're injured. So it depends on the context, but it's a good idea, maybe the ones that are publicly available information already that we've acknowledged. But the more important thing, much more important thing you asked about is Ricky. And yes, he's okay. And his neck's okay. And it was a very scary moment and a big match, but he's gonna be okay. And that's, he's been awesome and tremendous for us. And everyone in that match did great. And I was really happy for the fact that he was okay. So thank you for bringing that up. It was not pleasant, I wouldn't ask him to go out and wrestle right now, go wrestle 60 minutes or anything, but he's gonna be okay. Thanks for asking.
We're gonna do the whole first row here, guys, so.
Awesome. I'll get you all, and then I know I still kind of owe you guys a little bit on Ring of Honor, but I just was so excited about the pay-per-view and wanted to kind of do it before I get so deep into all that.
Oh, no problem. Nigeria, Big O Built Media. So from the Washington, D.C., Baltimore area, ROH Dying was pretty bittersweet for our area. That was our home promotion. It's a big deal, a lot of history there. You purchasing it now leads to the question as to, do you have plans? And I know you are coming back to Baltimore, I believe May, it is?
May 4th.
May 4th, right. But is there other future plans to kind of service that area, and or in terms of ROH, where are you going to base home base location?
It's a great question, and I'm still developing plans for what we're going to do, but Baltimore has been a great home for ROH, and I think they've run a number of events, and they've utilized like UMBC, right? Yes. And that's a good, and we've done a number of shows in Baltimore, including the original Full Gear, which was an amazing show for us. And I think it's an awesome area, and we've done a number of shows, in the surrounding area also, but in Baltimore specifically, I know there's an amazing connection to Ring of Honor. I'm very cognizant of it, and I do want to not only acknowledge the history of Ring of Honor, but I want to take it to another place, both respecting the library and doing things that make sense with it, and make sense for me and for AEW and hopefully for our media partners, but also going forward, because there should be a Ring of Honor, and I think I've got the resources to present a better version than anybody else can. And so that's why I'm really excited about it. And I know there's going to be a number of questions about that, so I can talk about that. But tonight was so special for everybody in AEW, and that's been such a great priority for me. So thank you for curbing some Ring of Honor questions for a moment.
Well, thank you.
The AFI theme for CM Punk was a special moment tonight, and that plays into his Ring of Honor history. What was sort of the timetable in that happening?
He wanted to do it before.
Okay,
he wanted to do it before. He was going to do it before, so that was pretty crazy. Because obviously, he's a dog collar match has a lot of history. It's not his first dog collar match, and it's his first dog collar match in AEW, and it was his dog collar match in front of a national audience. I think for a hardcore wrestling fan, they knew he'd done it, but the people watching AEW, there's a very large percentage, probably the majority, that weren't necessarily familiar with it, but I think that's also what's great about our fans is they respect the history of wrestling, and the ones who knew it thought it was awesome, and the ones who didn't, it's not like they're upset. Most of them would look it up or ask the person sitting next to them here or on the couch or at the movie theater. I think that's one of the things I really love about wrestling fans, and especially, honestly, the fans, just the wrestling fans in general, no matter where they're at. I just think wrestling fans are great, and I think that's, no matter what promotion they're a fan of, I think that you can treat them like that, and they'll so I think our fans are great, and I think all wrestling fans are great, and that's why you treat them with respect, and you know what I mean, and don't assume that they need to be beaten over the head with everything, because sometimes a subtle thing like that can really make a big difference, and it clearly affected a lot of people. I saw a lot of people talking about it, so I'm glad he did it. It was his idea.
And I wanted to ask you about Honor Club. Is there any update on that or is it too early in the process for that?
It's too early in the process for me to say that. I can give you a couple broad things about what I'm planning, what I plan to do going forward, but I can't say much. And but I will tell you all I can say, but I can't say much about the future of Honor Club or it's where all the content's going to live or what I'm going to generate. But I do plan to generate content going forward. I'm very excited about it, and I really appreciate the people that we worked with on the deal to get it done, and they were very, very fair, and the timing of it was great. I think it's great timing coming off the 20th anniversary of the launch of Ring of Honor, which was actually just about 10 days ago. It's very special, and that's why I was really pleased to be able to present last week Bryan Danielson versus Christopher Daniels, which is a match 20 years in the making in that kind of setting, a match that it all began with them being involved in a match, and it was great to have them competing to see which one of them would come up with a win, since neither one of them got that win on the Era of Honor begins. Thank you for asking, and if people have other questions, I'll say as much as I can. I may not be able to answer everything, but I may say something.
Tony, the Tornado Trios tag kind of slid under the radar on a pretty stacked card, and it got a great reaction.
Well, you want to know what I think? I think the fans sometimes, and it's great, I understand it, I think fans really want to see there's stuff they really want to see, and I hear them. I had planned to do the three-way, and I think fans really wanted to see a match that turned out to be, there's a reason, the fans are really smart, and I think the fans thought, hey, if Sammy were to defend the title against both Darby, he had a great match with Darby, he had a great match with Andrade. If he defended against them both, it would probably make sense with everything that's happening based on everything we saw, and that would be an awesome match. And I think that hit everyone's minds, and people, does that make sense? But it was always planning to do the three-way. And tonight, I think you saw why I felt so strongly the Tornado Trio. It would be great to do the three-way on Rampage and have a great go-home show, especially a lot of you, I think, were there, and it looks like people were nodding, and I thought they tore the house down, personally. I thought it was awesome. And then yeah.
No, I was just going to say, I know you take a lot of pride in how you use your legends and how you use your veterans, and it was kind of the payoff of seeing Matt Hardy with Private Party and Sting with Darby Allin. What would you say your assessment is of the job those two guys, Matt Hardy, Sting, have done with those respective talent?
That's what I was referencing. That's one of the reasons I felt so strongly about doing it, because I knew that the three of them would tear the house down in the three-way, and there was no questioning that we were going to do it on a big platform and honestly give it to a huge audience on TNT, and then hopefully make even more people interested in what these guys would do on the pay-per-view, not just against each other, but also how, what's going to happen with Sammy and Darby on the same team and teaming with Sting. Sting, since he came in, he's just gone above and beyond. I don't think, I know none of you expected him to do as much as he's done, and I was there because I was there, and I didn't expect it either, and he didn't either. He was in here before, I guess, with you guys, and I hope he expressed it to you, but he certainly expressed it to me. He loves doing what he's doing, and it's just such an honor and a pleasure to have him here, because in that generation of the legendary great pro wrestlers, he's certainly at the top and among the top of the greatest stars. And Matt Hardy, from the beginning of the time he came here, we just happened to be the pandemic. And the first show Matt Hardy was on was the first show that was shut down in Daly's place. And from that time on, he wrestled a lot of shows in front of empty, completely, with just wrestlers at ringside. And we made those great shows. The first show he was on I'm really proud of that show, even though we weren't able to go to the building we planned to go to in Rochester and debut Brody Lee and Matt Hardy the way we'd originally planned. We were gonna do that same stuff in a bigger building. And not only that, but in Brody Lee's hometown, which, you know, I always wish we could have done. And Matt Hardy, from the beginning of his time here, has worked so hard, and like he's also really put in time, not just behind the scenes, but also on camera, like you said, with the young wrestlers. And I really believe in Private Party. Mark Quinn was hurt for a while, and a lot of times in wrestling companies, you see when like there's a tag team that's a well-established tag team, and one guy gets hurt, you don't see either guy, or they break them up. And I didn't want to do that. I didn't want to do that with Top Flight or Private Party. So, you know, it's not the subject with Top Flight, but just with two teams that were hurt, for example. I tried to utilize Dante when Darius was hurt, and I tried to utilize Isaiah when Mark Quinn was hurt. And Isaiah had a bunch of great singles matches, including Jungle Boy on Christmas on Rampage, and then Sammy, of course, defended the TNT title against him, and the Keith Lee match Isaiah had. And I felt like Private Party would you know, learn a lot from Matt Hardy, but also there'd be times where they could be great partners for him and provide, you know, Matt Hardy's one of the greatest big match, crazy, insane wrestlers around, and I thought his mind with their athleticism and their potential could be really great. So that match was awesome, and having Sting and Matt Hardy involved with it, and also Isaiah. And so the people who were in the three-way, they killed it on Friday night, and then adding, you know, two very experienced wrestlers from really three different generations, Sting, Matt Hardy, and Isaiah. And very cool to add that to three people who also crushed it in their title match on Friday night. So thanks for asking that. I know you're affiliated with Matt Hardy, so I want to make sure I give you a good answer. Hey, AJ.
AJ and then Nick.
Great show tonight.
Thanks, man. I really appreciate that. Thanks for coming. It's always good to see you. I'm glad we're back to getting you in person. It was good to see you on Zoom for a while.
Yeah, it was good to see you too.
Thank you.
Whenever you were in St. Louis, you said to the St. Louis crowd that you would make it up to St. Louis. What are you planning to do in St. Louis or around St. Louis, and can you share it with me?
We're still working on it. The person who I'm working on it with is in the room, and it's and so it's something we're gonna address. We're trying to find dates. I mean, you know, part of the reason we it was really cool because like that's one of those situations where you go out and like I've never gotten. I don't want to jinx it. I don't want to jinx it. I'm not gonna say it. I'll say it. Screw it. I'm gonna just jinx it. It's gonna happen for sure now someday. I've never gotten booed. And when I went out ever. And that was one time where when I went out, I was the only time I've ever really been nervous about it. And I went out and I just was like super honest, and it was really cool because again, like wrestling fans, like if you're honest with them and tell them what's going on, like they'll be pretty cool. And I think that's what makes like wrestling fans and wrestling people like really awesome. Like that's what, I don't know if wrestling people, I don't know if wrestling fans are used to honesty. I don't think they are, honestly. I don't think wrestling fans are used to honesty. I'll tell you one thing I know from experience of being in the business a while. Wrestlers are not used to honesty. I have a nickname in English football that I was given by a player that I really respect, and he's done so much for me, and I've been through so much with him, and that is the most honest man in football. And the player is Alexander Mitrovic, and I've been through a lot with him, and most of you are not going to know who that player is. But he happened to set the scoring record in our league this year, and we still have 12 matches to play. And he's already set the record for scoring bit all time. So we've been through so much up and down together, and I have so much respect for him. And he said a lot of things to me, and that was one thing that's always stuck with me. And so I try to be honest with people. And English football and European football in general, not the most honest place. So that might be like being the nicest guy in prison, but I appreciate it. And in the wrestling business, it's also being the most honest wrestling promoter, probably. Again, like, you know, it's not the highest praise, but I do try to keep it honest and with the fans and with the wrestlers. So it goes a long way. So St. Louis, you asked me a specific question. I went out and I told the people, yes, this was really difficult because we had we had a plan to come out here, and I can't do it here. And there was a reason I couldn't, which was that there was a UFC schedule that night that I didn't know about when we originally booked it, and there was also a Canelo Alvarez. So we moved the show out of that, and still had a show, but it wasn't the exact show I'd originally planned. So I do want to go back there and do something really special because it's like, are you from around there?
Yes.
That's what I thought. And I'm also from not too far away. I'm from Champaign, Illinois, which is like a few hours drive. And so I've had a great time in St. Louis, a lot of great memories. The Illini came very close to winning the national championship there. They won in the Final Four, and then lost to North Carolina. That wasn't a great memory, but I have had a lot of great times in St. Louis, and I really do want to bring a big show there, and it's something we're trying to schedule and make sure it's like one of our major events. So it's definitely something I'm trying to do. Thank you, and thank you to everybody around St. Louis.
So we're gonna go with Nick and then Rock with Denise.
Cool. I'm going to try to crimp some questions together here. First, I'm going to follow up on what I asked earlier about Sinclair, because I had talked to people who had been trying to make their own offers. They lost, obviously, but I had heard that Sinclair was interested in still keeping Ring of Honor on their stations, but were not really gung-ho about paying for it going forward. Is the distribution of Sinclair intertwined with your deal? Will we see Ring of Honor and or AEW on those channels?
I think there's a lot of things regarding distribution. I have great media partners, and I have a lot of conversations I need to have, but one thing I did have was the support of my media partners when I went out and bought Ring of Honor, made an agreement to do it. So I think the people in the process that it's a complicated asset transfer that we're in the middle of right now.
Right.
And so I don't want to say too much about that complicated asset transfer or where those assets are going forward. Like, I'm trying to be very respectful of the party that I just had a great negotiation with, and we're still, it's like we're still transferring these assets. So it's like where the library of past content and any future content will be disseminated, I can't really say right now, but I'm glad you're asking. So
Okay.
what else do you want to ask me?
All right, the other one is, everybody got in a kerfuffle this week. Shavo got upset that he was off the AEW roster. I talked to Shavo earlier this week. He seemed upset that you had not taken his calls, Tony. Are you going to call Shavo? What happened here?
I am going to call Chavo.
Okay.
So to be honest, I was a little surprised because I only missed one message from him, and then he went to the media after I missed one message from him because I don't want to say what Chavo got paid for being the stunt coordinator for Young Rock, but he got paid a huge amount of money, and he asked if he could take the time off and leave, and I said he was not under contract, he was on a weekly deal, so I said I would love to have you back when I do like you a lot, and we did a great thing, but now we're gonna have to we'll figure out, make our plans going forward and without him here. And we made plans going forward without him here, and we went on and we've done a lot of great stuff, and I really like him, and he did great stuff for us. And I definitely owe him a phone call, but I was a little surprised to hear that because I do like him a lot, and Chavo could walk in here right now, and I'm very pleasant with him. But when I saw that, I was like, it's kind of a busy week because we have a show every day. Wednesday we did Dynamite and Elevation, both, and then we shot Dark in Orlando, and then we shot Rampage live. And maybe, to be fair, when Chow was here, a lot of this has all just been crammed on Wednesday, so maybe you didn't know I had such a busy week, but he did just reach out this week, and I just haven't gotten back to him yet. So, it's, I will talk to Chavo. It's fair enough. And like I said, I blew off a lot of questions about Ring of Honor. I don't know what I can. There's things I can say, but I'm not going to talk about where the content will be disseminated. Do you have any other questions? When you said, what am I going to do with it? What else do you want to know?
Oh, well, is it going to be a developmental brand? Is it going to be a secondary touring brand? Is it going to, look, if Manuel gave me 20 minutes with you this week, I got a whole laundry list.
Well, it's great. I could talk about it a lot, and I think there's a lot of, what's really cool about Ring of Honor and this group of people is there's such an interest in the hardcore wrestling fan, the real connoisseur, which is a pretty cool thing because the AEW fan base, there are a lot of casual fans. You asked, I had a question earlier about growing the casual fan base. Ring of Honor, in the past, Ring of Honor has been more so a hardcore fan base, frankly. Ring of Honor never had the kind of distribution that we've been so fortunate to get with TNT and TBS, which has really set us apart from every other wrestling company that's come along since WCW went under as far as being a viable competitor in the space. I'm not gonna say what I'm gonna do with it in terms of the roster going forward, but there's a lot of opportunities. There's a lot of great wrestlers out there, young wrestlers, and there's a lot of great wrestlers under contract here and not under contract here. And Ring of Honor has an amazing history, and I do plan to respect it, and I do want to keep it alive. And I think that's one of the reasons, they were excited to work with me, not to put words in their mouth, because I think, again, we're still, finishing this thing up, but they've been so great to work with. And, Joe Koff and all the people at Sinclair, they talked about how respecting the legacy was important to them, and I think that's why they were so happy to see it end this way. One thing I'll tell you that I do plan to do, because I think I've been asked that a lot, and you asked me what I'm gonna do with it, I'm gonna be the booker. And there's a reason for that. Because I will be bringing in young wrestlers, and they have a lot of young wrestlers. And I think we're very successful here, we're doing very well here. And I plan to continue doing very well with it, and bringing in wrestlers that could work in Ring of Honor or AEW potentially. And I think you've seen that for continuity's sake, like when you bring people in other wrestling companies that have had, say, multiple promotions under one corporate structure, say one person, I don't think it's conducive to have people coming into an environment, say somebody were to come here and from there, and the whole thing that's been going on with them, I might not be behind it. I might, you know what I mean? And so I think, it's Revolution, and I want to talk about like Revolution and also Ring of Honor. It's a big week with that happening, and I want to respect again the process that's happening right now, because it's a complicated transfer and we're finishing up everything. But again, like that's, to be honest, that's one of the reasons that I think. Okay, I'm holding, so.
Tell us.
Okay, here's what I want to say. Here's what I want to say. It's a room full of wrestling fans, right?
Yeah.
What NXT do you guys think is better, the original or 2.0?
Original, obviously.
Okay. Now, which one do you think is more conducive with Vince McMahon's vision of pro wrestling?
The second one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, for better or for worse, if they're not going to change what they're doing with the main stuff, isn't that maybe more, there's a reason that it's maybe a more efficient process to do that? Because at least then you're calling up people you know what they're doing, and like it's not like you're calling up people you don't believe in to do nothing. So like, does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, so then you guys answered my question. It was pretty cool. I didn't get unanimous feedback. So then in the comments, please let the record state that everyone in the room answered the question. I didn't say anything. So.
Tony, we have a last question with Denise.
Okay, I mean, if there's anybody, did anybody fly or come here? Denise, I'm gonna do yours, and if anybody else, I will do another one if I miss anyone. Thanks, Denise.
Okay, so yeah, Denise Salcedo, Instinct Culture. So I want to ask you in regards to Ring of Honor. I know you just mentioned that you're going to be booking this, but I know you already have a very busy schedule. So my question is, are you going to be bringing in anybody else to kind of help carry, some of those responsibilities?
Well, we have a lot of great people here in AEW, and I work with a lot of great people, so there's a lot of great minds. We continue to, tonight, obviously, you saw Lord Regal's here. Ace Steel has been working in AEW. He's been really helping out and has been a great coach. And like I mentioned, Sanjay Dutt has come in recently. So the coaching roster has gotten stronger in AEW, and I'm never afraid to utilize active wrestlers. Like a Bryan Danielson is a great example of somebody who, in addition to worrying about all of his own stuff, is really closely watching the young wrestlers, as he's made very clear in his promos, talking about people like Daniel Garcia and Wheeler Yuta. I mean, I was talking to him about his match with Mox, and he mentioned he watched a 60-minute independent match between, I think a lot of you have seen it, right? Between Garcia and Yuta, I think everyone's, and the fact that he's such a student of wrestling, and not just a student of wrestling, but is also one of the greatest wrestlers of all time, and also is actively one of the best wrestlers today. It's very compelling, and I think he has a lot to offer. So we have a lot of great minds here, and we also have a lot of great minds here that have a connection with Ring of Honor. So there's a lot to think about there. But so yeah, I will be doing that, but I will continue working with people, soliciting ideas, and trying to keep things organized, and building 2 great rosters of wrestlers. Hey, okay, so this is you. I'll do a few more, because if there's anybody I did get you, Reg, but I'll do one more. And then if there's anybody I didn't get to, I'll do a question from them. So Reg, what's up?
You can ask me. Hold on.
You are about to...
Wait for the mic there, Red.
Oh.
Leva's got it.
Okay.
The blue pants, man.
Yes. As a West Coast wrestling fan, you guys are about to have a string of shows in Las Vegas and California. What are your plans for California? Because we've been waiting for a long time for you.
Well, it's going to be a huge loop. Dynamite will be coming off Double or Nothing. Like I said, it's the first $1 million gate in the history of the company, and we will crown both a women's and a men's Owen Hart Cup winner, and we'll have huge title matches, and it will be an event much like, an event commensurate with what you've come to expect from Double or Nothing, which is a marquee wrestling event. I think Revolution's a great premium brand in wrestling, and also Double or Nothing's a great brand, so I'm very much looking forward to that. A lot of exciting things in our future, and coming off that, the very first time anybody will see AEW will be at the Forum, which is such a historic building. A lot of, I think on our sister media partner, the show about the Showtime Lakers premiered. I am a big student of their history and the Showtime Lakers, and Magic Johnson and his stat line in Game 6 of the 1980 Finals against Philadelphia. I think he had 42 points and 15 rebounds and 7 assists, starting at center as a rookie, and was the Finals MVP as a rookie. And had a lot of, so it was a great history of great players, and the Lakers and the Forum, of course, before they moved out of there. And it's a building I've always really wanted to run and be associated with, and I can tell you this, I've been writing in notebooks and various word processor files and bulletin boards and message boards, word processor files that don't exist anymore, like Microsoft Write, and like Dynamite since 1995, and Rampage when the roster got so big in 2011 that I had to get a second show, go figure. And so Rampage for 11 years now, and Dynamite now for 27 years. And there have been a lot of Dynamites, I can tell you in particular, at the Forum. And I think the capacity was 17,505, which is is that right? 17,505? That's a famous number. And well, anyway, it's a big deal, and that's a huge thing. And I'm honestly very excited about it because I have lived a lot of places, and I'm very fortunate, being a person who's been born on third base, to live a lot of different places. And so, in addition to where I grew up in Champaign, Illinois, and have lived a lot of my life in Jacksonville, Florida, and spent a lot of time living in London, and really because of AEW now, 52 weeks a year, I go on the road to different places. Spent a lot of my life in Chicago, which is not far from Champaign, but a lot of my life I spent years in Los Angeles. And it was because of that life I had out there, which seems like a whole different thing. But I've seen, a lot of crazy stuff out there, and lived a great life. And it was because of connections in media I was able to make out there that I was able to make AEW a reality and put the show on TNT and TBS because our personal connections in Los Angeles, just being at a party and making friends with people. And so that paid off, and getting a wrestling fan in that scene paid off for everybody, right? And so I want to continue paying it forward for everybody. And Los Angeles is a really special place to me. I went to eat at Craig's recently, which is a place I've eaten 100 times, and they had the paparazzi outside. And I went back Super Bowl weekend, and I'd probably eaten at Craig's 100 times, and it was the first time I've ever gotten mobbed going in by the paparazzi, so that was pretty cool. And that's all because of AEW. And so LA was just there for the Super Bowl. It was, a great city for sports and a great city for pro wrestling with a great history of pro wrestling. So it's a big deal to me to go there, and I'll be stopping at a lot of my old haunts, and I'm very excited to be there. And then Ontario is very close to the home of Matt and Nick Jackson, the Young Bucks, and it's actually something we'd scheduled a long time ago, and before the pandemic. We wanted to go to Ontario because of the great connection for the Young Bucks, and also because we want to wrestle on the West Coast. So it's something we wanted to do for a long time. So it's great to have this opportunity with Double or Nothing, and then with Dynamite in LA and Rampage in Ontario. Thanks, Reg.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks.
I think that's a wrap.
Is there anybody else who didn't get to ask any
An
questions?
emergency question over here?
You didn't get, because they skipped you, right?
Yeah.
On the row? Sorry.
It's okay, it's okay.
I saw you got skipped. They said the whole front row. And then you got
It's fine, don't worry about it. Well, first of all, congratulations on a great night, great pay-per-view. Now, we've seen some of your roster, works with New Japan, and recently we've seen Jay White. Could we possibly see anybody else come to AEW or even ROH?
I don't know. I'm not going to speculate about ROH yet, what we could do there, because I think there's still a lot of, we have a very exciting amount of possibilities in the transaction. We just kind of made an agreement, and so that's very fresh. So I probably said almost everything I can say about Ring of Honor, but I will say in AEW, yes, definitely. We've got a great relationship with them, and I'm really excited about it. And I think we can work together outside the ring, but then in the ring we can also hook them up and have great matches. And we've had great wrestlers already, some of the legends and great stars of today come over from New Japan, some of the top stars, but I think there's more great stars. They have an awesome roster, and working with Ghetto and Rocky Romero in their office has been a great pleasure, and the people in the business office. So we are still collaborating on things, and yes, you will definitely see more of the great wrestlers. And some of the ones you may have seen already, I mean, God, it's been great. We've had Suzuki and Ishii and Kojima and Nagata and so many legends from New Japan already. And what's crazy is there's so many more great stars in New Japan that could potentially come here, and also stars, you know, from other countries, not just Japanese stars from New Japan, but you said like Jay White, who was awesome through the Forbidden Door, and I thought his match with Trent was tremendous. Trent is a wrestler, by the way, who I had watched extensively in New Japan, who had a lot of great matches there, teaming with Rocky, and he's somebody I always want to, I get behind him. Whenever he's able to wrestle, I get behind Trent, I really do. I think you can see that. And he got hurt again in the Battle Royal, and not terribly bad, but it's like, I really love him and want to get him going, and so hopefully he'll be going again soon. It's not a bad injury, it's nothing bad, but it was actually, if you watch it back, it was on the elimination. Yeah, we have a great thing going with New Japan, I think, and what's crazy is all the great matches that are still potentially to come. So yes, we will definitely do more with AEW and New Japan, and as for anything related to Ring of Honor, stay tuned. That is probably, I think they're trying to get me out of here, and I want to make sure I at least hit the whole front row so I didn't false advertise. Thank you for everyone came here. I really appreciate it, and to anybody watching this who may have ordered the show on pay-per-view or was here live, it means the world to me, and thank you for giving us this opportunity, and I hope it lived up to everyone's expectations, and thank you very much.